Hey, this is Jonathan.
Hi, this is Andrea, and welcome to TinderLand.
Welcome. Here we explore Andrea's ups and downs of finding and losing love, the success and fails of dating app adventures, and fearless pursuits of romance as she navigates her world serendipitously through passions and whims, be it for better or worse.
Usually for worse, but yes.
So last episode, we were jet set dating to Iceland for a first rendezvous with Ice Princess.
That's correct.
Things went well for the long weekend, and so now we're eagerly awaiting to see how things go for your second Iceland trip.
Yeah, we'll update you guys on the next episode.
Yeah, and it may be interesting to note, we've also received interestingly positive feedback from some listeners, both in our circles and remotely.
Right.
And some listeners even felt, they said, encouraged and inspired to venture outside their typical comfort zones a little bit by what they heard, putting themselves out there a bit.
Yeah, I guess I've inspired people to not be afraid. I don't want to say inspired, but I guess people see my failures and they say, hey, this is not so bad.
At the very least, we seek to entertain people, and if we inspire a couple along the way, that's a pretty big win.
That's a big one. I think that's good. That's good for what we're doing.
Right. That's right. And we've been doing this for fun, and it really is a lot of fun. Any excuse to play with audio toys and digital media with some good conversation to boot, right?
Yeah, kind of play radio a little bit. That does feel good.
Yeah. For starters, we've been able to reach a number of people around the globe with any luck, inspired or entertained them a little bit. The first episode reached over 100 unique listeners, in more than a dozen countries.
Yeah, some people, random people in Australia. Hello.
That's right. Yeah, most listeners from the U.S., followed by Brazil, Spain, Iceland, Denmark, Australia.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody, yeah. Just under half are using Spotify, so we're glad folks are able to find us out there. Welcome, and feel free to send us your notes or questions, and you can always go to our URL at tinder.land or at our Instagram at TinderLand Podcast. Facebook's the same, TinderLand Podcast. So let's get into it. We've learned Tinder dates, in just the right circumstance, can serve as sort of a poor man's therapy or support system amidst relationship chaos. Is that right?
That's such a poetic way to look at all the swiping I've been doing to get through a breakup, but yes.
Right. And yeah, you were fortunate enough to stumble or swipe across one such gracious soul. So we're talking about German girl there who came into your life through Tinder amidst the torment of your Philly girl breakup. So setting the stage, you finally hit a breaking point with her and you call it quits. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I broke up with the Philly girl. I was very sad, Jonathan. I was calling all my friends, FaceTiming them and crying and just a hot mess, feeling very sad.
Well, and just to clarify, this Philly girl is the same, the Poly Playhouse dominatrix type from episode 1, correct?
Poly Playhouse. Where did you get the dominatrix from? Because she's not like that.
Not in the literal sense, but she's quite a control freak.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll give you that. But that's hilarious. I love that name.
So let's start there. You called it quits, and this is a breakup you took rather hard.
I took it very hard. I was listening to Whitney Houston, drowning myself in Adele and my tears. Just as much as you can picture a hard breakup, I was like that. Lost a lot of weight. I lived out of yogurts, basically.
And at the risk of taking a little more pleasure in your misery, it's maybe a bit surprising, given everything, to hear how broken up you were over this relationship.
I mean, I was really in love with this girl, right? I really loved her. We got along, besides the controlling being played and being cheated on. Other than that, we got along well,
Right. I mean, this is even after learning she was recording conversations behind your back, and later she was cheating, not being entirely honest. Essentially manipulating you via jealousy and seduction.
Yeah, she was manipulating me, but I had no idea, right? So all my friends, when I was telling about the breakup, they're like, "Oh, good. We were wondering when you're gonna break up." Because we all thought that you were being super manipulated and controlled. And I was like, really? I had no idea. It kind of hit me afterwards that I was being controlled.
And how long between the time you learned about the misbehaviors, some of the red flags, and then the time you broke up with her?
How long did it take me to figure it out?
That's right.
Almost 3 weeks.
Right.
To a month. Right around the time German girl came.
Got it.
That was when it hit me. Then I was like, F this.
Yeah. And you were down for the weeks following this. You're on everyone's shoulders.
I'm crying, being super annoying, repeating the same story over and over, asking my friends for advice, and they're still giving me a little hope. Well, maybe you guys will get back together.
And that's what you wanted to hear too, which is really strange given all this. I mean, what does that say about your ability to really cling on to a bad idea?
I'm just clueless. So I just think that there's always hope, right? I mean, being a positive person is good, but it comes with that. You see positive. I'm too positive. I see positivity when there's none. So I fool myself.
And so how do your friends help you deal with this terrible breakup?
Listening to me, always calling me, make sure I'm okay, right? They're like, hey, how you doing? Texting me. So then basically they say, you need to get back on there. You need to get back on Tinder. And I found out about the Tinder passport thing, how you can swipe in different locations. So I went to New York City with Marcella for the weekend. She had invited me. She's like, why don't you come over? You're super sad. Maybe you can come and have a good time in New York. I said, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'll come meet you. So I took the bus to New York City, met up with Marcella, left my things at the hotel. And then she's like, so you're on Tinder yet? I say, yeah, I'm on Tinder. She's like, get swiping, girl. You need to swipe. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can hang out with somebody today. She's like, no, you need to go on a date. This is going to be good for you. You're very sad. Just get on swipe. And she's like, why don't you go shopping with me? And then you can make me company, and then you can get swiping. So we went out shopping. She kept looking back, Jonathan, and she was like, are you swiping? I want to see you swiping. If you're not swiping, don't talk to me. And I was like, okay, swiping. So swipe everybody in New York, basically. Match with this girl, who turns out to be a German girl. And we chatted a little bit. So then I just invited her out. I was like, hey, do you want to get a drink later? I'm in town for the weekend. She's like, yeah, I'm very easygoing. I can meet up with your friends if you have planned with your friends. We can go out alone. I mean, it doesn't matter. So I just said, no, let's meet up for a drink later. So we decided to meet up, and Marcel was like, hey, don't commit too much. What if you don't get along with this girl? She's like, why don't you meet up at a bar closer to our friend's place, and if it sucks, you just leave, say you have to go. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. So I suggested something in Upper East Side, went back to the hotel, got ready. Was feeling really pumped about being in New York City, feeling like a big girl, going out to meet somebody on Tinder. Kind of felt like, New York has a little bit of a magical mystery to it. Kind of felt like the movies a little. So I get on a subway to go from, I think we were staying Times Square, to go up to Upper East Side, to where the bar is. When I get there, the girl's not there. And she's texting me, I'm so sorry, I'm late, the Uber's late. And I said, okay, I'll just go ahead and order you a drink, anything you like. She's like, I'll just have whatever you're having. So then I order old fashions, because I'm crazy about old fashions. That's like my favorite drink. Do you like old fashions?
I do. Recently, I've gravitated more towards Manhattan, which is kind of a less sweet version of the same.
Oh, okay. I like because it's a little bit sweet. But get there, I order old-fashioned. She comes in, and I was like a little bit surprised because she's a little bit prettier in person, but looks like her photos, right? That's always a good thing. When you see the person, they're better looking than the photos. That's always a good surprise to have on Tinder dates, because it tends to be the opposite. It tends to be where the person goes, and you're like, oh, my God, you look nothing like your photo.
The pictures are the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah. So she comes in, we start talking, basic questions. Where did you grow up? What do you do? Getting to meet this girl, and she was very nice.
What was the place like?
This was like a lounge bar. Like the bartenders didn't leave behind the bar, so you have to go up and get a drink. It had a bunch of couches everywhere. We were sitting at a table, and a couch opened up, and I was like, hey, do you want to move to the couch? It's a little bit more comfortable. Also, so I can get a little bit closer to her, right? Because my goal that night was to get over Philly girl.
Well, that's a challenge, traveling, dating, right? How are you going to know what the good place is? And you got to get lucky, especially around there, to end up in a place that's got a comfortable, intimate spot to chill.
It was very intimate, and it was Yelp, and I didn't look at the photos or anything, but I guess I just went by the reviews.
Great.
But yeah, it is hard. I lucked out. That was a cool place. So we move over to the couch, and we're talking, and guess who walks in? I see my friend Marcella, her boyfriend, his friends, and then my other friend Juliana. So they walk in, and I'm like, hey, guys. We're right here. How's it going? I didn't know that they were going to come by. So they look dead me in the eye, and then they look away, and then they start walking away, pretending not to know me. And I was like, what the fuck? They're not talking to me.
Just looking at you like you're weird.
Yeah, and the German girl was busting laughing because, that was hilarious. And then I'm like, hey, guys. And then they came back, and then they're like, oh, we were just messing with you. And I said, okay, all these are my friends. So then they stayed over for a drink or two, I don't remember. And they left. And German girl was like, hey, do you want to have a drink at my place? And of course my answer was yes, because you know what that means, right? Drink at my place.
What was the connection like in conversation so far?
Oh, actually, to back up a little bit, we were conversing. Everything was going well. So when my friends left, I kind of got closer to her, right? And I started really looking her in her eyes. And she's kind of getting a little embarrassed. And she was like, why are you looking at me? I was like, I don't know. I think I just want to give you a kiss. So then she just kissed me. So then we started making out. And that was when she was like, do you want to come to my place and have a drink? I was like, hell yeah. Of course. That's the point. So we take a Uber back to her place. She lives in a studio. I guess her company was paying for that. I don't know. Very cool little place. Offers me a drink, right? So we have a drink. We start talking. Now fast forward to the next morning because everything happened well. I got lucky. Mission accomplished. So she wakes up, makes me coffee, very sweet. And then she's like, are you hungry? I say, yeah, let's grab something to eat because I have to go back to Philadelphia, right? I was going back at around noon or 1 p.m. So she's like, cool, there's a cool French bakery right where I live. Let's get some brunch. So went with her to get some brunch. When we got there, sadness came over me again. I went from feeling super hyper to just being bummed out. Over
the breakup.
Yeah, I was still in breakup mode, right? At least I didn't cry during sex. But yeah, I was very sad still, right? So then I just got a little bummed out. And then she's like, look, I kind of told her about the story with Philly girl. And I don't know if that's a good idea. You go on a date and then you talk about your exes. That's probably not a good thing, right?
In episode 1, 2, it's not a good habit.
Yeah, I need to stop doing that. So then she just tells me, look, you look like a good person. I think you were being manipulated. Even the German girl knows that I was being manipulated. Hearing about the story for like maybe 10 minutes. This is how clueless I was.
A few cut and dry red flags.
I didn't see the red flags, because I was, I don't know if I can say the word, but I was very much powerless when it came to this Philly girl.
You can say any words you want.
I was pussy whipped. So then she's just like, you're just being manipulated. You need to just, just watch out for yourself. That's it. So then I give her a hug and I say, okay, well, I'll see you sometime, I guess. I don't know. Enjoy New York City. Text me, right? And that's where we left. So I went back to the bus station, texted Marcella, said, hey, everything's cool, going back home, I'll see you next time. She's like, oh, I'm so happy, everything went well.
Yeah, she pulled you out of your pity pile a bit. It was good timing, good connection.
After that day, when I got back home, that was the day that I started feeling really like myself again. Finally, after 3 weeks of being a crying mess.
And so you actually chat with her a bit, and you moved to a second date with German girl in New York, right?
Yeah, so we saw each other 2 weeks later. We kept texting. She's like, oh, why don't you come up to New York, right? I was like, yeah, why not? So I went to New York for the weekend. We hit it off well the second time around. I think I know I spent a night there. I don't know if I spent 2 nights. I don't remember. But I came over. We went to the museum that weekend. We got some lunch. We were acting like, not like girlfriend, but she was being like, holding my hand in public, going out. So that kind of felt very nice.
That's your thing too, therapeutic for you, walking around like a couple.
Walking around like a couple. Yeah, I'm very, I think it was established yesterday through conversation with some of my friends that I'm very needy. I'm not needy all the time, but I can be needy in the wrong times, and that's not good for me. Like, as soon as you meet somebody, that's not a good place to be, the neediness.
Well, that's the thing about anxiety is it's the least useful when it hits you, and you can't get out of it. And that's when you become needy. You're feeling anxious.
Anxious, yeah. If I don't know how the person is feeling, then I can get very needy, yes.
Okay, so you have this second date. It's going well.
It went well. So, like, she's being, looks like she's into me. Like I said, we went to the museum. We grabbed some sushi, acting like girlfriends the whole weekend.
Well, it must have gone well because not too long after that, if we're moving on from there, she actually agreed to meet you in Philly.
Yeah, so I said, hey, why don't you come to Philly next time if we see each other? She's like, yeah, that sounds good. So we started, texting again, and then she's like, okay, I could come to Philly on Friday. So I picked her up at the bus station. And this girl is so cold all the time. She's like, she's wearing sweaters in June in New York City. But she's asking me how cold is in the bus, right? And I say, oh, it's not that cold. So she's like, oh my God, what is wrong with Americans? It's ACs everywhere. And I'm laughing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know why we do that. It's a bad habit and it's always so cold. So I picked her up at the bus station. We get into my car. She's like, look, I'm feeling a little sick. Why don't... and I was like, let's get some food and then we can go home and rest, right? Just relax. So I took her to a nice sushi place. Then we went back to my place. Had a nice evening, slept in, relaxed. The next day, I play tourist guide in Philadelphia. So I'm driving around, showing her the city, telling her a little bit about the story, right? Whatever I know of Philadelphia. And I take her to a nice place to get lunch. They had a nice view of the river in the city. So it was very cool. She was like, oh, this is very European. I think it's because she wasn't feeling rushed. Like, the servers were not rushing us out of our table. You know how it goes. So after we got lunch, we went back to my place because she was feeling sick again, right? This girl she told me that she was having some health issues. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. Let's go home. We don't have to do anything. So she took a nap. Then I took her to a nice French restaurant. Everything went wonderful the whole weekend. Sunday morning, she wakes up. She had to leave early. I made her coffee at home. I took her to a coffee shop real quick to get a better coffee than what I make. Apparently, I don't make very good coffee. So we took her to the coffee shop, and I dropped her at the bus station so she can go back to New York. She's like, thank you for a great time. It was wonderful. And I was like, okay, cool. Looking forward to seeing you again.
So everything's great, right?
In my head, yeah, everything's great. But I'm clueless, right? How clueless can you be? I think it can get worse. So she texts me the next day out of nowhere. And she just tells me, right, hey, I really like hanging out with you. I think you're a good person. But I just don't think I can take such intensity right now. So I think it's better if we don't see each other anymore. And I was a little dumbfounded, right? I was like, wow, where did this come from? Because I just dropped her off yesterday. We had a good time. She didn't text me all day, and then she texted me late Monday to tell me she doesn't want to see me anymore.
You weren't expecting that.
No, I wasn't sad or anything, but I was just surprised, a little taken back.
Well, it was a brief relationship, but also a very cathartic one, very healing for you.
It was very healing. She was very good for me because I'm still very thankful, because if it wasn't for like hooking up with her the first night, I think I would have been on crying mode for 2 months. I mean, I was desperate, Jonathan. I'm calling my cousin in Brazil and asking him for spiritual guides. I mean, I was like, even, I was even wanting to talk to the spiritual world, whatever could fix me. Call my cousin in Brazil. Do you have somebody that can read my aura? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But he did have somebody. Yeah, that's a crazy side story. But yeah.
He'll spot you a couple chickens for the guy.
Yeah. So she messages me, and then I tell her, oh, okay. I said, that's not a problem. She's like, just don't be mad at me, whatever. I said, no, that's not a problem. I mean, it is what it is, right? If you're not into me, then you're not into me. Or if you, there's nothing I can do, basically. But I said, no hard feelings. And she messaged me later after she left the United States to let me know that she went to Hawaii. Right? I told her a couple places to go because I lived in Hawaii. And she took some of the places that I told her to go to. She sent me some photos. She said, hey, I had a great time. Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you. So it was good. I think it was good.
Well, you put yourself out there, made yourself vulnerable, and it ended up being a win-win for you both.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping. I was not hoping for a relationship, but I was kind of hoping for like a summer hookup with her. Like I was like, we'll keep hanging out, keep going to New York. She keeps coming here. It'll be a good summer until she goes home, right? And that's it. But I don't think she wanted to be super involved. And I didn't get the intensity. Like, what does she mean by intensity?
In any case, it was probably more than she could handle being there only temporarily.
Yeah, I think maybe she started liking me or something. I don't know.
But essentially, you were able to turn the corner. You found a well-spoken, empathetic, nurturing soul at the right time for a short-term relationship. So this aided your recovery from an oddly paralyzing breakup, helped pick yourself up from your pity pile, and reconnect with your better self at the time. Right, so a short relationship, albeit a healing one.
It was very healing, yeah. I think that was very good for me. It came at the right time anyway. I needed it. I needed a win.
And through swiping, nonetheless.
Through Tinder.
Yeah.
Good Saint Tinder.
That's right. I think that would be something that's difficult to replicate. It'd be hard to do that on demand, find a support system like that. But hey, it can happen.
I think it can happen, but I'm also a believer that the universe will send you what you need at the right time. That's my hippie talk. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, the funniest part of the story that I didn't tell. So right before German girl leaves Philadelphia, the last day that we're together, she's telling me about her childhood. So this girl was a ice skating princess, right? She did ice skating almost at a competitive level, almost pre-Olympic, right?
Very young.
Very young. So she started when she was very little, and she was telling me that her parents sent her to live in a different city so she could practice ice skating. And she was like, yeah, so it was very hard for me because I had to live alone when I was very young, and I didn't see my parents for a whole year. And this girl's telling me this very sad story. My eyes, Jonathan, starts to water.
And you're talking about this is not a summer camp. This is a year-long or more engagement.
Yeah, I think she lived alone for like a year. No, she lived in a different city than her parents at like 10 years old or 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very hard. So she's telling me this very sad ice skating story, right? And I'm just like, my eyes start to water. And then she's like, are you okay? And I was like, oh my God, this is the saddest story ever. She's like, are you crying? I was like, yeah, have you listened to your story? I'm like, you're telling me almost like a sad Christmas story.
I mean, was she telling you matter-of-factly, or she was lamenting that it was a struggle for her?
She was opening herself, telling me about, we were in bed, like, talking after doing physical activity. Right?
She was sharing her childhood.
So she was sharing her childhood, and how it was hard for her growing up. And then I started to cry. She's like, nobody has ever cried when I said that. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm very emotional. I'm emotional. I mean, if somebody tells me a sad story, I'm going to cry. I'm a little bit of I can cry sometimes. I'm not a crybaby, but I can get very emotional. So this girl's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you laugh. Oh, to make you laugh. Didn't mean to make you cry.
Well, and it's ironic, right, that the empathy that you needed to find so much you found, yet when you showed your empathy, you learned it was just too much.
Right. Apparently, people don't like when they tell you a story and you cry. But it's like, okay, dude, you're gonna tell me like that you lived away from your parents and you worked very hard, like a little ice skating athlete. Yeah, that stuff is said to me. I totally cried.
So that's an interesting one. And taking a step back, let's look at broadly your swipe adventures. Let's see what's happening. I believe you mentioned recently seeing some rather strange, unusual Tinder profiles. Some braver souls having a laugh, and some other
brave or lack of common sense.
Yeah, some that are just strange. But so what did you find?
So I've ran across some weird profiles that I thought it was worth mentioning. My favorite is this. I don't know, somebody in New York City. So this person is. It lists there that her job. She works as an improv comedian, but she's dressed as Bozo the Clown. Not entirely, just her face. She's wearing the clown face and the clown wig. Right, like Bozo or like it, but not so scary. More cheery. But she was saying, so you go through a photo and you're like, okay, this is a joke, right? So all her photos are with the clown face. And then she's saying, wonder if somebody's going to be brave enough to go out with me. And I will go out in full costume. And I kind of wanted to swipe right because I've never been on a date with the clown, but I'm terrified of clowns. I don't think that would be good.
Never dated a clown either.
I've never dated a clown.
So not a whole lot of attraction, but might have been worth it just for the...
Just for the story. I mean, who dresses as a clown and goes on Tinder? And then this other girl I saw, and this is not so good because it's not like it's an improv class. I don't know. Maybe I feel like this is a serious profile. But this girl was in a graveyard, but not emo on her profile, not emo in her graveyard. She was like embracing a grave of like her father, and then that was her profile photo of like holding her father's grave. And I thought that was so eerily creepy and like just strange thing to put as your profile photo.
Well, I understand why it's significant to her, but of all the pictures for your
But
Tinder,
on a dating Tinder, though, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
No, anywhere. That photo is just not appropriate. That's something you take it and you look at it. This should be on your hidden like folders on your phone, right? Or maybe something you show it to your friends. Just not on Tinder.
Hard to know what to think about that, yeah.
And then the third one that I thought was really weird is this girl. She has a gag ball in her mouth. And all her photos is like dominatrix gag ball. And she says that she'll let you do anything to her. And I was like, ooh, hard left. I'm not into like gag balls. I just don't get the appeal.
To each their own.
And then something that's classic that I think every girl has experienced is the married couples looking for their unicorns. That's not weird. What I think it's weird is when they post photos of their wedding photos as their Tinder profile. I think that's a bit weird because it's like, oh, honey, we look so good that day. We spent so much money. Look how beautiful I look. That should be on our Tinder profile. I just don't get that.
Are they documenting that they are, in fact, married?
I mean, we already know because you said that on your profile. If I bother to, that's why I don't bother to read those profiles. But, you know.
And would it matter if they weren't?
But it's just a wedding photo that I think it's weird. Yeah. I just don't think it's tasteful at all.
Right. And another thing that stood out, you in your Tinder passport exploits, you were swiping Russia.
Yeah, I went to Russia because I was wondering how it was over there. Because
Uh,
being gay is like not cool, right? You're
well,
prosecuted.
apparently, because you ran across a warning message, a safety warning from Tinder
From
to you as a
Tinder.
swiper.
Thank you, Tinder, for caring about my safety.
That's right.
Yeah, but it basically said the country where you're trying to swipe penalizes homosexuality, I guess. And your profile is going to be visible. Do you want to go ahead and proceed? Something along those lines.
It said, warning for Russia, the LGBTQ community may be penalized. Proceed with caution. Take care in matching in the area. It was very,
And it says, "Do
very
you want
ominous.
to show your profile?" And I was like, "Yes," because I like to live dangerously in America, so I pin Russia.
Oh, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
Rainbow Red Dawn. So here's a random question out of the blue, so to speak. Recently, an experience that maybe a lot of people haven't had that you have. Describe your emotions when you were recently taken out to the middle of the ocean at night. You did something adventurous for the first time. You found yourself in the open ocean, 10 miles offshore in the middle of the night in a small boat with only yourself and the boat's captain. You were doing a friend a solid, helping move a sailboat north from Florida. So, rate an opportunity you said yes to. What was it like leading up to it? Was it a bit scary, the anticipation of venturing into the vast, deep unknown for the first time? Would you do it again?
I would do it again with Dramamine and maybe something else. I got very sick on a cruise, so I knew I would get a little sick. I didn't know how sick I was. I was gonna get a little seasick, but I was not afraid of the being in the ocean. I think that was exciting. I was not afraid of sinking or anything like that. I was just genuinely like, I hope I don't get seasick. And yeah, I got seasick. I was very sick the entire night. I was feeling everything was like how do you say, spinning around me. I was feeling disoriented. So I was supposed to go help this friend, to be a nice co-pilot or something at night, co-captain. Pardon my my lingo.
Observing your night watch.
Yeah, observing my night watch. And I just got so sick I could hardly do it. I think by the time I got up was almost 4 a.m, which is not very good to help. But I did help. It was exciting once we got to the port. That was cool because we were off the boat, right? So I could breathe a little. But yeah, I was just, it was exciting. I wasn't scared. I was just a little miserable. But I should take Dramamine. I was being stubborn. I was told to take Dramamine and I just didn't. I was like, no, I'm going to be fine.
So no reservations, just being barely inside of land, out in the middle of the water, in the complete darkness.
Not so much because it was like 10 miles, but maybe if I went to the Bahamas, like, would I feel as cool on a sailboat? Maybe not. Maybe I'd be freaking out a little bit.
Indeed. Okay, so speaking of travel, you have a trip coming up.
Yes, I have a trip coming up to Spain. I'm going to go to Madrid, Barcelona, and Ibiza, which I just now found out is a party city. I had no idea.
Sure you did.
Yeah, I did know it was a party city. I was just trying to see if I sounded believable when I said that. I guess I didn't. But we're going to Ibiza, and then Marcela is supposed to plan the rest of the trip. The rest of the trip will be in Portugal, and I'm excited because my family's from Portugal. They're from Azores, which is an island off the coast. It's a small little place, but it's going to be good to go to see where, like, my family's from, the country, right? The motherland.
You've never been?
Never been to Portugal, no.
Neat.
That's going to be... Yeah, everybody's speaking Portuguese with the Portuguese accent, so that's going to be very strange.
Have you swiped ahead to either spot?
I swiped everybody out in Madrid on one match.
So yes, okay.
I think I may have to redo my profile. I don't know, but no, nothing. I think I'm gonna wait. I don't know. I don't know if I'll wait the week off and start swiping, or if I swipe maybe a day before, or just when I'm there. I don't know. I don't want to spend that much energy on swiping or talking. Mainly just chatting because it's still like a month away.
Got it. the text exchange is a little exhausting. You'd rather just get right to it. So
Yeah, just like, hey, I'll be there in a week. Want to hang out? Want to meet?
got it. So I think we're about to wrap here. What do you think, Andrea?
I think it's good. I think it felt good to share the stories.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. And again, listeners out there, feel free to drop us your questions and comments via the comments form at tinder.land or via our Insta and Facebook profiles, which are both at TinderLand Podcast. So next time, we're anxiously awaiting the story and results of your second trip to Iceland, with all the nerves and hesitation that come with taking a chance and venturing across the pond for another date with Ice Princess. So until next time, happy swiping.
Thank you. Until next time.